Hi, I'm Kelsey Kenry, and I am a business advisor and consultant for established mom founders. And on this week's video, we are talking about breaking free from settling. There is an area of your life in which you are currently settling for less than you deserve. And as women, this is something that I see happen time and time again, not just in businesses, but also in your relationships and your life in general. And I want to share with you a story about my own situation, and I want to talk through why we settle, what settling is actually doing to us, and how we can stop and move forward from this so we can actually reach the potential that we have. So there was a period of my life in which I decided to make a choice that I could possibly lose everything. After 3 kids and 10 years of marriage, I almost lost my marriage. And I did that by having one of the most hard conversations I've ever had. I told the person in which I love the most in this world that I couldn't do it anymore. And the fear around this conversation was so potent and so real that it was physically wrecking me. The idea of even having this conversation and saying these words almost broke me. And stepping up and having this conversation is something that changed the trajectory of my life and my marriage, luckily for the better. I remember in this heated conversation that we were in, finally saying the words of like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live like this anymore. And while most people who want to appear successful from the outside and like they have it all together wouldn't admit this, I think this is important because so many women settle in their relationships because of their businesses. And I didn't want to be one of those people. I did not want to have one part of my life in my business that was going really well and feel held back by something that was happening at home. I want everything to be in harmony. And I believe that this is something as women that we need to pay attention to and strive for, because the areas that are succeeding are not succeeding as much as they could because we're not looking at the areas that aren't, because those areas are uncomfortable. Going to my best friend in this world and the person who I know I am meant to spend my entire life with, and saying this was not easy. But the reason why I did it is because I knew the type of life that I wanted to live. I knew the type of relationship that I wanted to have. And so I knew that I had to stand up for myself. And oftentimes in our relationships, in our businesses, we are so afraid of speaking our truth out of fear of hurting people or making people upset or disappointing people that we shackle ourselves by settling for what is. Most people normalize being unhappy. Most people normalize a marriage turning into a roommate situation. Most people normalize being in business, being something that is a 24/7 job. Owning a business and running a business is something that you make constant sacrifices for. But those sacrifices are usually from the areas that are most important: our mental and our physical well-being and our relationships. I didn't want to be the norm. I didn't want to be one of those statistics. I did not want to be a woman who appeared to have it all, but on the inside felt like I didn't. And so I had this very uncomfortable conversation. And I am fortunate and so grateful that that conversation led to an enlightening moment that has now created the strongest marriage and the strongest relationship for me and for my children, and that this has made us better. People normalize being unhappy and unfulfilled because they're chasing all of these external accomplishments in hopes that when they reach a certain point, that will fulfill some sort of gap that we don't realize that we're having. Some sort of gap that we don't realize that we have. And so successful women end up in this position to where they're looking around and they have it all. The bank accounts are full, the financial freedom exists, the cars, the houses, the things, the vacations, whatever it is, those things exist. And then they look around and it's like, why doesn't this feel like enough? People settle. Women stay quiet. And leaders continue to stay unfulfilled. I want you to think for a second about how easy it is to fall into a routine of being disconnected and living disconnected. As mothers and business owners, we have two of the easiest pathways straight to losing yourself. Business and growing to an established place and making millions of dollars and making a huge impact. We have built that way by sacrificing ourselves. So between the business and parenting, which is the hardest job, in my opinion, between those two things, it becomes more difficult to know yourself and harder to ask for what we really want and need. It becomes easier to settle for what has been the norm than to say, I want to do things differently and this doesn't feel good and I want to fix that. So if you find yourself settling in your business for the exhaustion and the overwhelm and the constant pulling in all directions and the lack of work-life separation, if you find yourself there, recognize that that is by choice. And recognize that just because you built to that place and have built something wonderful and are making all the money in the world, that you can still succeed without running your business that way. And in fact, I believe that you are settling for running your business that way and that you have found comfort in that discomfort. It's not your fault. You're just repeating what you've seen. Think about all the media that we see about tired entrepreneurs and working 24/7 and everything that has been normalized. You're just following the path that was laid before you. The generations before us, everything was based on how hard we worked, how much we put in, what we gave of ourselves. Our worthiness has been long dictated by how much we produce. We are awarded and receive achievement, not for who we are, but how much we do. And so we live in a society that has built success and put success as and defined that as what we are producing. So it's not your fault that you have followed that path. What we have to do is make a different choice. What we have to do is recognize and take ownership of our choice in this matter to do things differently. It has been normalized to work too many hours. It has been normalized to take away from your sleep or your habits and routines that you want to have, not honor your body and take care of your health mentally or physically. This has been normalized. And so it's not your fault. You don't need to skip lunch. You don't need to answer your emails at all hours. You can have high standards and firm boundaries and succeed further than where you are right now. This idea that all of this exhaustion and the way that we run business and the way that we succeed is being just part of it is the narrative and the story that we have to change. What if you woke up today and you watched this and you said, you know what? I have been running my business that way, but this is my business. I have the power to make changes, to put in place different systems, processes, procedures, standards, and boundaries that support my well-being, my presence, and living the life that I have built. Because what is financial freedom all for if you do not have your health, if you do not have your relationships, if you aren't truly living? But the problem is women are too afraid to speak up. Just as I sat in my own discomfort and lack of fulfillment, I was afraid, because speaking up means I might lose it all. I might lose this person that I love. And that to me feels so scary that I don't want to say this. But at a certain point, we have to recognize that, do we really have it all? The thing that we're afraid of losing, are they really even there? Is it really working for us? Oftentimes, we don't change the way that we run our businesses because it feels like it's working fine. The revenue is growing, people are being impacted, but is it working for you? Because didn't you create this business for freedom and flexibility and to do work that you love that maybe now you're resentful of? People aren't willing to speak up. People aren't willing to go through the discomfort of the possibility to find a better way. But you can create a different way. And as mothers and as leaders, I believe that it's our responsibility. I believe that it's our responsibility to say, you know what? Let's stop normalizing these things. Let's stop normalizing being so stressed out that we need to drink every night. Let's stop normalizing that good client experience and client satisfaction is based upon us responding at all hours. We have the power to change what good work looks like. We have the power to lead differently. And yet we settle. And so I want you to ask yourself today, where are you settling? Is your partner your roommate? Are your kids getting older and you're looking back and realizing you have no memories of things together? Are you utilizing all the financial freedom that you've created? And are you present in the situations if you are utilizing it? What if being willing to lose it all was exactly what you needed to have it all? What if you shifted into a position of being so unwilling to settle for anything less than something that made you better or happier or more fulfilled? What would that look like? How would you make choices then? Your business structure and strategy and offers and everything in your business needs to be built to reflect the type of life you want to live. And this is where people get it wrong. Business owners build their businesses to build a business. Business owners forget about the lives they want to live in the process. This is your opportunity to make a different choice, to have a conversation, to do things differently, to let the possibility of disappointing someone or making them upset exist, and then know that it is exactly the same thing that you need to benefit yourself, your family, or your future. So you have to make the choice. You have to speak the words. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable, because either way you're going to be uncomfortable. So you choose the discomfort that you know currently, because that discomfort is the exhaustion, the stress, the overwhelm, the lack of fulfillment. But if you're already uncomfortable, then lean into the discomfort that creates fulfillment and happiness and joy and presence and peace, because those things can align with the success of your business. When you are happy, when you are fulfilled, you have the ability and the capacity to do better work. Most people have it backwards. They think the better work comes from continued sacrifice. But who are you when you're doing that work if you're resentful, if you don't love the work, if you're so tired you can't think clearly? You can learn to lead with compassion and care and become a better leader instead of being resentful and frustrated. So I'm asking you today, are you actually living the life that you want to live right now? Have you stepped back and out of the chaos and the dysfunction and all the moving parts of your business to really ask yourself, am I happy? Does this feel good to me? And while there will always be hardships and hurdles and things for us to overcome, and our problems will change shape and form, but always exist, how we navigate those things can be different. We don't have to live in a constant state of reactivity. And that's why when you choose to put your happiness first, when you choose to have the conversations, when you choose to stop settling in any area of your life for less than you actually desire, what happens is growth, personally and professionally. When you speak up, when you step forward, when you take back control and power, and you make choices, you feel much more confident in your ability to lead. You feel happier and more fulfilled in your life. And go figure, your life actually looks like what you want it to look like and feels like you want it to look like. So today, I want you to take an inventory, and I want you to take an honest inventory of where you may or may not be settling, of what does and doesn't feel good in your life and your business right now. And then look at those things and ask yourself, what is my part in this? What am I enabling in this relationship or in this behavior? And what do I need to build to create something different? And that's why I say, for all of my clients, we are building business structures, strategy, processes, procedures, workflows, teams. Everything is reflective of how they want their lives to look and feel. How they want to look and feel. Your schedule is your own. Your life is your own. It's time to get back into the driver's seat and recognize that you have that control. Today, I'm asking you to stop settling. I'm asking you to step forward and be willing to embrace the discomfort that is a new path and a new way of doing business. And if you need help and accountability, I'm here for you. Book a call. Let's talk about what's stressing you out in your business. Let me tell you the gaps that are there and the blind spots that you can't see, and let me partner with you to make a difference in your business and your life. Thank you for being here today, and I will see you next week.